right, future homeowners, this one is for you. Buying your first home can feel a bit like a roller coaster. It can be exciting and overwhelming and maybe a little bit scary, but don't worry, we've got you covered. In today's video, I am giving you part one of a complete crash course in home buying. In part 1 and 2, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know. From finding the right neighborhood to navigating offers, inspections, and financing. Whether you're eyeing a cozy little starter home or planning for your forever place, this guide will help you avoid common pitfalls and get you ready to make that big move. So let's dive right on in. Hey guys, I'm Daphne Quay, your boss lady realtor here in Austin, Texas. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the Austin area, you can contact me. My contact information is in the description below. You can also set up a direct one-on-one Zoom call with me. Just follow the link in the description. Also, if you're watching this video from any other part of the US or even Canada, Mexico, South America, and you need to buy or sell a home wherever you are, I have really close realtor partners all over the Americas that can help you in your real estate transaction. So if you're needing to buy or sell a home elsewhere, contact me. I can get you linked with somebody who is absolutely phenomenal. So let's begin. I've recently received a few requests to put out some videos giving a crash course for a first-time homebuyer. There is a lot of information to know. None of it is particularly difficult. It's just a lot of information to know. So I've broken up this video into 2 separate segments. The first segment today is going to be more about the finance side, financing, talking to a lender, etc. And then the first steps in talking to a realtor. The second video that we're going to do is going to be more about finding the neighborhood that you like, as well as going over the home buying process kind of at a high level. So this portion of the video, I'm going to talk a bit about financing and some things that you need to do, also kind of what the financing process looks like and what the conversation with a lender will be like. So let's start. Step number 1, I would recommend going on a mortgage calculator and messing around a little bit with the numbers to see what price range of home you are comfortable with. One mortgage calculator that I really like is mortgagecalculator.org. Honestly, the interface of it looks like it's from like 2003, but it does have pretty clear numbers on it. Essentially what you can do is you can go in and put the purchase price, your down payment amount, what the interest rate is going to be, and then loan terms, etc., property taxes, and then that'll basically give you a pretty good ballpark of what your monthly payment will be. So once you've played around with a mortgage calculator and have an idea of what price range you might be comfortable in, it's time to start looking at neighborhoods in different areas that you think are going to be a good fit. Things that we want to focus on aside from just price range of the home is location. What is your lifestyle like? What do you like being close to? And do you want to continue a similar lifestyle with your new home? Also, something else to ask yourself is if school ratings are important. It could be that you don't have kids, maybe you don't want kids long-term, totally fine. When we think about resale value, oftentimes school ratings, of course, play into the home's value long-term. Now, there are several parts in Austin, Central Austin in particular, that are super trendy, really cool, and that don't have highly rated schools. And those homes will still appreciate, and there will still be plenty of demand in those areas. So again, things to think about, things to kind of balance out in the priority list. Another thing I always like to ask my home buyers is how long do you plan to be in this home? Is this a home that you're going to live in for 2 years and then maybe you're going to rent it out, or maybe you're going to live in it for 5 to 10 years and then you want to sell it in the future? You don't necessarily have to have an exact answer for that at the time you're looking through these neighborhoods, but it is something that is good to keep in mind. Step number 3 is talk to a lender. When you talk to a lender, you can have a couple different conversations with them, especially if you're a first-time buyer. Obviously, we want to let them know that you're a first-time buyer. The conversation with somebody who's never bought a home before is going to be different than with someone who's bought 6 or 7 homes in their journey. So the lender can do one of 2 things. They can get you pre-qualified or pre-approved. Pre-approved is more so when you are really just kind of starting to do some homework and feel out what the market is doing and where you might want to be. Let's say you plan on buying a home, but it's not going to be for another 8 to 12 months. That's a good time to start talking to a lender and get pre-qualified. In a pre-qualification, basically you talk to the lender about your budget, any debts that you may have, what your income is, savings, etc. The lender doesn't necessarily have to do a hard credit pull. They can generally tell you based on what you've told me, this is more or less a price range that you need to be at with X down payment. Each lender works a little bit differently, so they might use slightly different verbiage. They may not even call it a pre-qualification. They might just say this is a consultation and we're talking about how much home you can afford. I have also seen other lenders give an actual pre-qualification letter saying based on our conversation, we can do X, Y, and Z. Now, when you get more serious and you are 2 to 3 months out from actually making your home purchase, that's when you want to talk to a lender about getting approved. So basically, when you start the approval process, the lender is going to do a deep dive into all of your financial anatomy. That's a weird term that I just made up right now. When the lender is looking at your financial picture, I guess, if you will, they're going to be looking at your income, credit, debt, savings, work history, even living history, and they will also come up with your debt to income ratio. Debt to income ratio, DTI, basically tells the lender how much debt you have versus how much income. So let's say that today, for round numbers, you make $100 a month. And let's say you have a car payment that is $5 a month. Wouldn't these numbers be cool if they were real? So you've got your $100 a month income with your $5 a month car payment. That would put you at 5% debt to income. Now let's say that you get a mortgage and that mortgage ends up being $25 a month. Obviously not real numbers here, but you've got your $100 a month income, and then you've got $30 a month now worth of debt, which would technically put you at 30% DTI. Essentially, lenders want to make sure that you have less than 48% debt to income ratio, that you can take the remaining money and use that to live on, of course, and then save up for the future. Each person can have a different scenario, which is why it is so important to start the conversation with the lender early so you can see exactly where you land. And if you're not going to buy a home for another 6 to 8 months, then that gives you plenty of time to work on your finances, of course, so they can be in a really good spot for when you're ready. Step number 4 here is really important. It's going to be having a buyer's consultation with a realtor that you trust. I know that when I do a buyer's consultation, we take usually about 45 minutes to an hour to talk to the home buyer to see where they are and really what needs to happen. We ask a lot of questions. I want to know about their lifestyle. I want to know about their goals in the future. If it's a young couple, for instance, and they're planning on starting a family in this home, those are things that are important to know. Also, it's important for me to know that you could potentially be relocating to another town or another state within the next few years. So maybe this home needs to be more of an investment instead of your forever home. When I talk to clients, I always ask them, what is their goal with this house? If they're going to live in it long term, if they want to make it a rental, or if they want to sell it down the line. Also, I really like to ask about my clients' lifestyle, things they like to do, like maybe they like going to the gym, or maybe they want to be close to the rock climbing wall, maybe they want to be close to restaurants and bars downtown, because that all comes into play. Like I said, I ask about long-term plans for the home as well, and it's important to know, what are your thresholds for repairs? Do you need something that's turnkey and 100% ready to go that you can just move into tomorrow? Or are you maybe willing to replace some flooring, or maybe do some paint, or maybe update the kitchen? We want to know. Once you have done your buyer's consultation, then the next step is to sign a buyer representation agreement. Buyer representation agreements have been made all the more popular in the last few months due to the NAR settlement, lawsuit, etc. that has been all over the media. So I'm going to explain to you briefly what these things mean. Let's go. Buyer's representation agreement is a contract between a home buyer and their real estate agent, ensuring that the agent works exclusively for the buyer's best interests throughout the process. It is especially important for first-time home buyers, offering dedicated representation, access to more properties, and protection during the negotiations and settlement. Recently, due to the NAR lawsuit, realtors' commissions have become more public and negotiable, meaning that buyers and their agents can now discuss and agree on a fair commission, which adds flexibility to the process, and ultimately it puts the power back in the consumer's hands. The National Association of Realtors encourages these agreements to ensure ethical and transparent transactions. In the past, buyer representation agreements weren't necessarily as mandatory as they are now. Today, they absolutely are. It used to be that we could do a buyer consultation and go out and look at homes without having one of these buyer representation agreements signed. Today, we absolutely have to have them signed before we start looking at homes. It's so serious, in fact, that if our local board of realtors finds out that we are showing homes without a buyer representation agreement, they can audit us and put penalties on us and even suspend our license. I've heard penalty fees can range anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500, and then for multiple offenders, it can be multiple thousands of dollars. So we do this to protect our home buyers so that they know exactly who is getting paid what by who, and then of course to protect the realtors to make sure that we are abiding by these rules and able to serve you, of course, as a home buyer the best that we can. After we have all of that taken care of, we can start looking at homes, which is what we will go over in our next video in part 2 of the First Time Home Buyers Crash Course. I've got a lot more information coming up in part 2 of this video. If you have questions between now and the time that that video comes out, contact me. My contact information is in the description below. You can even set up a direct one-on-one video call with me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Daphne Quay, your Boss Lady Realtor. Till next time.